Boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. Oh my god, I can't believe these words are about to come out of my mouth, but I was invited by Apple TV to the Widows Bay event at the Culver Hotel in LA. And then the next day, I was invited by Apple TV to go to the Cinespia event at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. So I have so many things to say about these experiences. Welcome back to my channel. Listen, I'm running pretty much on empty fumes here, so I'm just gonna do my best. But I just had a pretty life-changing, incredible content creator milestone experience, and I wanted to document it and talk about it with you because there are so many things that happen at these things, like behind the scenes, and I have my own unique perspective on it, so I just wanted to share for all of the Widows Bays and just all of the content creators out there who are looking to get invited to events and things like that, like what the experience is really like. You see, I know what it's like to be on the other side of the algorithm when you're just seeing posts be flooded from events and you're just like, oh, I wish I was there so bad. Like, you know, it's really interesting experiencing the FOMO, and then it's really interesting the kind of like emotional things that like pop up once you are in the event, in the room with all of the creators that you see on your algorithm in your feed, and suddenly you're like in the same room with them. Add on top of that you're in the same room as celebrities, so that's a wild experience. So let's go ahead and start with how I think I received an invite, and I will never know for certain or for sure, but I have a theory about how this happened. And first thing I want to say is that it absolutely was not luck. I did not get lucky with this. I worked my freaking tush off. I've been a content creator for 12 years, and I just got to the point where I got invited to an event by Apple TV for my favorite show. And what that looked like, I would go on Threads and talk about the show every Wednesday, but I don't think that's particularly what led to this specific invite. It's that on the day after, I think the last episode of the season aired, I posted a dance cover from one of the most incredible scenes in television that I've ever witnessed in my entire life. And it was from episode 4, Beach Reads of Widows Bay, and it was the Patricia Sunset Cocktails episode. And there was a whole spooky dancing situation, and I do a lot of dance covers, I do a lot of dance content, and a lot of recreations, and I thought, wow, I haven't seen anyone recreate this. This is like so iconic. Like, why don't I just like try and channel Patricia, but also like put my spin on it? And I posted it, and that posted very, very well. And I believe it did reach the people or the social media team at Apple TV. They saw it. They reached out to me. They gifted me with the Widows Bay PR package with lots of fun and amazing goodies and treats. I do have an unboxing video on my channel if you want to check that out. And so that video and the performance of that video is what I think got me on the Widows Bay radar, if you will. So the first experience that I went to was the one at the Culver Hotel. Iconic location, by the way. It was advertised in the invite as a haunt. It teased in-character experiences and a few other little details, but we didn't know too much going in what it was going to entail, just that it was going to be Widows Bay, and we were encouraged to dress up as our favorite characters if we wished. And also there was no +1, and we were informed that there would just be a ton of other very vibrant Widows Bay fans there as well. So I decided, because my Patricia dancing video performed so well, that I would just wear the exact same outfit. And I was in crisis over the outfit and what I was gonna wear, because originally I did want to show up as like a really nerdy Widows Bay kind of tourist and bring like my Nikon camera and things like that. But then I was like, I don't know, it's my first event ever, and with Apple TV and with Widows Bay, like I can't just like show up in something so casual, even though I probably could have. I'm very glad I went the Patricia route. And the dress that I have is so beautiful and so gorgeous, and I felt really pretty when I was leaving the house, and that was a really special feeling because I was working through a lot of nerves. You know, when you get invited to something, you want to show up, you want to present as your best self. I didn't know if anyone was gonna like me. I wanted people to like me. I knew that the cast was gonna be there. I didn't know what that vibe was going to be like. There were a lot of unknowns and uncertainties to me, and I do naturally have an anxious brain, unfortunately, and I did have to work through, in addition to my excitement, I was also feeling like, oh my god, don't mess this up. You know what I mean? When I got there, we did get complimentary parking. I walked over and it was so poppin'. I really literally felt like I was walking into the most popular club in LA. There were lines on both sides of the Culver Hotel. And I walked into the line, if you're facing the Culver Hotel, I walked into the line that was lining up on the left. And luckily for us, while we were waiting in line, we were visited by the sea hag. So that was very cool because she was very committed to her character. And it was really funny because we were in line and there was actually a dog that was not vibing with the sea hag, and the dog started barking, and it was this whole thing. But there was a line, and then you check in and you gave your name. And then they had this really cool experience where you got to take photos for a badge, and it was your Widow's Bay Town Hall ID badge. And the lines for that were very, very long. And so they were telling us, like, don't worry, that's going to be here the entire night. If you want to come back and do it later when the line isn't as long, then that's okay. And I was so nervous that I literally was walking back and forth because I couldn't make a decision. Like, am I going to wait for this? Am I going to come back? And luckily, thank goodness, I decided to go and come back at a different time, and that all very much worked out for me. One of the biggest highlights of this event, and honestly of my life, was of course, like I'm sure you are, I was very familiar with Spoooky Ash and her work and her aesthetic genius on the internet, and I saw that she was posting about coming to this event, so I DM'd her. I'm like, oh my god. And luckily she was following me, so this wasn't completely random, but I messaged her. I'm like, oh my god, am I gonna get to meet you? And we literally just hit it off. Like, she was there by herself, I was there by myself, and we experienced the whole thing together. And that is probably like one of the top highlights for me, is just like, not only did I get to experience this, I got to experience this with the queen of Widow's Bay, like Miss Widow's Bay 2026, like that's Ash. And so I felt really, really lucky about that. And I also got to see all of these creators that I've followed and recognized, and the ones that I did talk to were all so nice. I was so nervous that because most of these creators have been to all of these events before and hundreds of these before, that they would be like really not into talking to like the new kid on the block. But that couldn't have been farther from the truth. Everyone was just like so accepting and so kind. And shout out to the Apple TV team. Every single person I met from Apple TV was unbelievably kind, so supportive, navigating me and Ash throughout this entire event, looking out for us, making sure we were being introduced to all of the coolest people. Like, that was really special. Now, the ambiance and like the layout of the event. When you walked into the Culver Hotel, the centerpiece was an actress playing Patricia, which, side note, I knew this actress because I studied drama at UC Irvine with her at the exact same time. So that was really cool. And I feel like a divine sign from the universe, because I was so nervous about this and I kind of had a familiarity. She was like my little spirit guide, if that makes any kind of sense. And we were wearing like the same outfit too. So that was just really fun. She was like the center, and they did an incredible job of recreating the scene in the kitchen with all of the ingredients. So they had like the ingredients you thought were in the punch, and then they had the real ingredients, and that was very cool, especially because later in the evening she did come out with the real headpiece. So that was sick. There was, if you were facing that, there was a bar to the left, and then kind of like an activation on the right, where if you got bit by a sea hag, there was a doctor available to help you. And there was the signage from the show that was really funny, and a sea hag like rescue kit, which was great. And the actor playing the doctor was very committed. All of these actors at this event were top tier. They were so good, so in character, didn't break the entire time. And so you got to sit on a doctor's chair and talk to the doctor, and it was pretty fun. In the center is where people were gathering and socializing, and later where the celebrities entered into the hotel, and it was kind of like a free-for-all, first come, first serve thing. It was a situation where there would be one of the celebrities from the show, and then just like a semicircle or like a circle forming around them. And not only were there tons of content creators getting their content, but there were also tons of people from the media with professional cameras and videographers, and they were doing bits and things like that, and they were filming that. So that was also going on simultaneously. There was an outside with a very cool photo opportunity, like a wooden sea situation with the Widow's Bay Apple TV logo. I visited that quite a few times with Ash. We had a lot of fun being there. There was also another bar outside. If you were continue to go inside on the first floor, you walked into this hallway where they had so many Easter eggs from the show. There was a whiteboard from the mushroom, the fungi episode, which was really funny. There was the projector with the genealogy, and Ruth was being projected on there. So that was really cool. And then that led to the gift shop, and it was very detailed. There were nautical ropes there and tons of merch that went very quickly. And this is what we got, they also gave out these little paper fox crowns and keychains and pamphlets for Widow's Bay, things that I will keep forever and ever that are so special. And right by the gift shop area, the goodie bag, oh, and there was also a tote that we got too, super cute. But there was also right by that area like a wooden chair, and then there was a huge sign that said cannibalism in God's house, and that was absolutely hilarious. Then there was a staircase that led to the upstairs room, which was such a vibe. It was moody and gothic and super fitting for the show. And they had the Widow's Bay logo everywhere on all the windows. There was a window where you could look down and see the people who were going to the gift shop. There was also another bar upstairs. There was a whole like setup and photo opportunity for the Breakwater Inn, which was very cool. And then we also had simultaneously Willie the Clown running around, and we definitely had Richard Warren strolling about, and then we definitely had the boogeyman, which as someone who went as Patricia, it was so much fun to interact with him. And the upstairs, they had the Daddy's Home game, which was very funny, and I definitely got to meet the actor Neil who played the Breakwater innkeeper, and we were talking about Daddy's Home, and it was, he had the best energy. It was so cool. So that was like the layout of the land, all of the stops. There was also a DJ on the first floor, and he was supposed to be inspired by Dale, so that was very cute. So the first celebrity that I actually spoke to and had a conversation with was Dale Dickey, who plays Rosemary on Widow's Bay, and she was wearing a very beautiful dress. It was like black and had some kind of, not sequins, but there was like a little bit of like a sparkle or a shine or something, and there were a bunch of us, we were complimenting her dress, and she made a joke about how someone just picked it for her and she just threw it on or something, and she said she was really more of a hippie, and I thought that was really funny, and we just told her how much we loved the show and how much we loved her, and she was incredibly kind. I very much regret not taking a photo with her. The next person that we saw was Casey Callan, who plays Ruth on the show, and she is just delightful, just so sweet, so kind. We of course were telling her how much we love her, how much we want to see her in season 2, and it was really sweet because she was talking about how emotional she gets whenever she sees fans talk about the show, and we were telling her how much joy she brought us, how much we love the show, and she was just so touched that people were loving the show and loving her character, essentially. And that was a very special moment to have at this event. I also got to meet Katie Dipple, the creator of the show, and it was wonderful talking to her. She was so sweet. She was so kind. She was talking to my friend Ash, and they were having like such a cute moment, and I got to witness that. And then she kind of like let me in on the conversation, which was really sweet. She referenced me talking about how the show is so popular and how she loves to see, or is seeing, like a lot of Patricias, and then she was referencing me in my outfit, and then I got to introduce myself, and I also thanked her for bringing us so much joy with the show, how much we love and resonate with it, and how tricky it is to do something absolutely hilarious but also spooky. I told her she was giving us so much range. I very much regret not taking a photo with her too. I have video of her, but I wish I was in it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really like kicking myself, and I'm realizing as a newbie, these are really rookie mistakes. And then a moment came where Ash and I were hanging outside. We were literally just like freaking out and trying to process everything that was happening to us. And then someone from the Apple TV team comes over and greets us personally, and they're like, "Do you want to meet Matthew and Kate?" And we had seen Matthew before, but he was taking group photos with the cast, and there was a lot of press there. And so there was like a sea of people trying to get to him and take pictures of him. This was a little bit later in the night. So at this point we were outside, and there were these specific kind of tables with cushions outside. It was actually a huge vibe, and there were, you know, security around them or people working the event. There were just people like staking it out for them, and kind of, it looked like they were having a private moment, to be honest. I don't know who else was sitting with them, but Matthew and Kate were sitting next to each other, and they bring us over, and I go up to talk to them first, and I'm really not sure what came out of my mouth. I was so starstruck. I was so starstruck seeing them. I go up to them and I gasp. My first thing I did was gasp. I was like, and then I said, "Oh my God." And then I think I told them how much I loved them and how much I loved the show, and I congratulated them on their Emmy nominations. And what I can tell you about Matthew is how kind his energy was, how warm he was, how willing he was to talk to me. He didn't make me feel like I was a burden or that this was like some kind of inconvenience into his like private introvert time. Like he was like very down to have a conversation with me. And Kate is so beautiful. So beautiful. I remember feeling like very like taken aback by that. Like, oh, like her eyes are just piercing. Her skin is just like perfect. She was wearing this like flowy shoulder situation outfit. And because I was dressed as Patricia, I think she said I liked your costume or I love your costume. I have no idea. I completely blacked out, to be honest. I did tell her that I was doing her dance moves on the internet. I think I went up to Matthew Rhys and I said, I should be going up to you like this. And he didn't get it. And I was like telling him about the mushroom episode, and I told him because he's a fun guy, and that was a reference to a joke he made on a talk show. So I hope it wasn't too embarrassing. I mean, this is really like my first situation of celebrity encounters ever, even though I've grown up in LA and seen celebrities. This was really, I guess I've worked with celebrities before. I was a PA one time, but these were celebrities that I really, really care about. So I wish I had something a little bit more prepared. I wish I had a particular bit to go into with, but I will always remember the special moment I got to say how much I love them and to have them both be talking to me and having a conversation with me and how they took time out of their really busy night. I don't think I can explain how many people were there. It was hopping, and I'm sure they were overstimulated. And so the fact that I got this opportunity is something I will never forget. It was so special. I get emotional thinking about it, but that was absolutely the highlight, was getting to meet them. So because this was my first event, I realized I have a lot to learn in terms of event content, capturing event footage. You know, event content is still fairly new to me, even though I do have 12 years experience as a content creator, not specifically in this niche yet. So there's a lot of things that I'm learning, and I just remember like day after the event, seeing all of these like macro content creators publishing these genius posts that were so creative and so thought out and immaculate footage, immaculate editing. And I had stayed up till 3 a.m. to edit my post because I wanted to post it at 8:30 a.m. the next day while it was fresh and people were talking about it. The one thing I noticed seeing all of the footage from all of these pro content creators is that none of them were afraid to take pictures with the cast, and none of them were afraid to make content on site with the actual cast members. I was really struggling with this idea of like, I want to be respectful. I don't want to get in their space. I don't want to ask them to perform. I had like a lot of like internal dialogue that was like stopping me, but this cast in particular was very down. Talk to fans, take photos, create the content. So that's something I know in the future. I don't know if I'll ever get another opportunity like this, but I hope I do. And I hope I can redeem myself in that way, because the one thing I can't stop thinking about is that I didn't get a photo with Matthew Rhys and Kato Flynn, especially as I was wearing my Patricia outfit. I really regret not showing her my video because she doesn't have Instagram. I think I did ask her about that. I was like, you don't have an Instagram because I would have tagged you. And she said she did not. I just wish I had a little photo with them or a little video, or that, you know, I wish I showed Katie my Rhythm of the Night dance. I don't know. It just gave me a lot of opportunities to evaluate my brand, how to network, what to say to people. And I'm trying not to be too hard on myself for not knowing all of that, but I'm so glad I experienced all of this. It was literally a dream come true. I can't believe that my first event was with Apple TV and that it was with Widow's freaking Bay. That is an enormous flex. It's actually the thing I'm probably most proud of in my entire life. And the night was just so magical. They also, oh, I forgot to tell you, they also had the headless Richard Warren statue outside, and they were doing a lot of things with the characters. They had Hamish, they had the actor who was hired to play Richard Warren, zombie Richard Warren, and they were doing a lot of photos by the statue. And then they also had the actor who played Evan doing some bits in front of the statue. So it was cool to see the behind the scenes of that, and there was someone like directing them and getting footage. And then, you know, Apple TV posted a recap of the event, so that was cool. And you think I would be done there, but lo and behold, I am not done. Because, okay, I knew that there were two Widow's Bay events because I follow my friend Ash, and she was saying she was flying in and she was going to not one but two Widow's Bay events. And I was invited to one of them, and I was like so grateful for that. I was like, thank you. That is amazing. Oh my God, I'm so appreciative of that. Like I'm cool. And then I heard that it was gonna be like the Cinespia screening, and I personally have kind of become a little Cinespia queen this summer. I went to Legally Blonde and Practical Magic, and so I had a few Cinespia experiences under my belt, and so I was like, oh wow, I would really love to go to this. And it was the day after. It's not like there was a day in between to like recalibrate and like get outfits together. Like it was the next day. And so the people in the Apple TV team were like kind of trying to see how they could get me in or like see if there was any extra space or whatever. And then the next day, the day of, I did get an email saying that I would be able to come, I was invited, and cosplay is encouraged. And that's kind of all I knew. And even though I was beyond excited for this, I was working through a few struggles as well. I was feeling really emotional because I was feeling like I was a little new to this, and I was being really hard on myself, feeling like my content wasn't good enough as the pros. And that kind of got in my head, and I was feeling a lot of this like imposter syndrome and a lot of how can I do it better with this second event? You know what I mean? And I had no idea what to wear because I had already worn my Patricia cosplay outfit to the first event. So I'm like, it's smelly. I was sweating profusely in it. That was another thing. It was very warm in the rooms, like a summer in LA. And I don't think I want to wear the exact same thing twice. And I had this other option that I was really gonna go with, where I had this beautiful denim dress that I just got. It kind of has like a corset bodice, and it looks very nautical. It has like a lot of gold button detail on it. And I had a captain's hat and a little scarf, and it was just giving nautical. You know, it was just giving like coastal town, not very haunted, which was a bummer because the event was going to take place in a Hollywood Forever cemetery that's famous. I was really stressed out about my outfit, and I'm like flip-flopping because I kind of have like a casual version of a Patricia thing. I had ordered a Beach Reads shirt from Etsy that did not get here in time for either one of the events, so I had to be creative. And once I finally decided on an outfit, and I decided on the captain's outfit, and I go and I put the dress on, and the zipper breaks. And it's 20 minutes before I have to leave because I'm taking a Waymo. Cinespia, for me, it's on the other side of town. It's the middle of the week, and LA traffic is no joke, and it's right around the time where traffic is the heaviest. And then I had a backup outfit which was more colonial, Puritan, 1681 Widow's Bay. And I was like, what if I go as Sarah Warren? What if I channel Sarah Warren? What if I go inspired by Sarah Warren? And I think the universe was wanting me to do that. And I think the dress breaking happened for a reason, because I actually end up loving how the dress looked, and the green was just such a perfect color for me. That's the color she wore on her wedding day. And no one else was dressed like her. No, at either event. No one else was referencing her, and Betty Gilpin was so amazing in that role, and I feel like she deserves so much love, and I wanted to give that. I wanted to represent her. And to be honest, not everyone got it, but the ones who love the show absolutely did. So I did have a few issues getting to Cinespia, and for whatever reason, my Waymo did not drop me off in the spots that it usually dropped me off the first two times before, which was right next door to the cemetery. It dropped me off in a street that I didn't know, in a block that I didn't know, and it was still 10-minute walk from the event. And so I'm already running late, by the way, because of my zipper outfit disaster. I'm already feeling very emotionally raw just because I'm tired, and also I'm just like feeling like, oh my God, am I good enough? Am I gonna be able to capture the content? Am I, gonna do better than I did before? Is the cast gonna be there again? Like, we're just also, more unknowns that I was excited about, but the brain does what it does. And then I do finally find the event, and the entrance that I had gone through for the first two events was closed off, and they were only letting cars in for the people who were parking on site. And so, unfortunately, when I approached a woman working at the parking, she was not friendly at all. She was very rude. She was like, the entrance is on Van Ness. And I don't know why I was struggling, probably just like lack of sleep and burnout, but I swear I was walking in the direction she told me, and my map was telling me that I was going the wrong way. And I was walking blocks and blocks, and I just kept passing shopping centers, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going the wrong way. I was supposed to be there at 6. By now it's like 6:30. And then I decided to turn back around and ask again if someone could help me or like point me in the right direction. And then this woman was so rude. I hate to say that, but she was really not friendly at all. And, you know, maybe she had her own thing going on that day, but they did have signs. They were facing car traffic. So if you were walking on the block, the sign was right up next to Santa Monica Boulevard. So I was walking on the other side of the sign and I couldn't see it. And she literally takes the sign and drops it and shoves it to the side of me, basically passive aggressively showing me, here's the way, get out of my face kind of vibe. And so I start crying. I call my mom. And she is like, she's such the best protective mother. She's like on the phone with Waymo trying to get me a refund for it not dropping me off close enough to the event. And she did. And so, you know, then I contact my lovely, amazing point person at Apple TV and we're like texting and I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm waiting in line, whatever. And she was so kind and she was the MVP hero, real one of the evening because she plucked me from a super long line waiting to get into the event. And she took me in and I just felt so special. There were a few things that were similar to the first event, and then there were a few things that were different. One of the things Cinespia is known for is their famous photo booths, and their set recreations are absolutely incredible. They have professional lighting there. For me, that's always my favorite part, to do the photo shoot. And by now I'm collecting Cinespia photos like Infinity Stones or like Pokemon. I just gotta catch them all. I want to catch them all. It's so fun. So when I walked in, I saw that there was the wooden backdrop activation by an area with water. And this time they had a boat that had the coffin that Richard Warren was in, and they had a lot of smoke and fog. So that was very cool. They definitely added to the one from the Culver Hotel. And then they had the merch station, which was very cool and also very detailed as well. They had the doctor's office they brought with them. They had the Sea Hag, they had Patricia, they had Willie the Clown, they had the Boogeyman, they had Richard Warren. All of them were back and better than ever. There were also like food trucks. I think it was like a clam chowder or some kind of seafood situation. I'm a vegetarian, so I didn't have that, but there was the, you know, Cinespia has like a concession booth and like a drink booth. And to me, the coolest activation at this was the lighthouse, and there was like Widow's Bay neon sign, which looked really cool at night because it was glowing red, but they had an actual lighthouse that was so sick. We definitely got a lot of pictures and videos there. And Richard Warren without a head statue also made an appearance. And the coolest thing that happened for me was that I got to sit in the VIP area behind the ropes. There was a tarp already there. There was a pillow there, a blanket, all kinds of snacks. And it was super VIP experience, which I've never experienced before. I'm always like lugging my chair and pulling out a tarp and sweating, and this was just like so lovely, and the view was lovely. We were close to the screen, and they also had a Widow's Bay set up because I didn't know this prior to the event, but the cast, I knew the cast was going to be there, but I didn't know in what capacity, but they were there. This was the For Your Consideration event. So there was a whole hour-long interview where we got to hear amazing behind-the-scenes facts about the show, the characters. It was such an amazing interview. I hope they release it on YouTube because I'd love to watch it again and just soak in all of those details. But the entire cast was there. Katie and Hero were there as well. It was just one of the coolest things ever to witness and experience. And then they showed episode 1 and episode 4, and I really do feel like I peaked in life being able to say that I saw Widow's Bay at Hollywood Forever Cemetery. I thought the first event was the biggest flex in my life, but maybe the second one might be as well, because like seeing Rhythm of the Night on a big screen in a cemetery altered my brain chemistry. It was so cool, and just hearing everyone laugh together at the funny parts, and it was just an incredible incredible experience. They had the Widow's Bay logo on the screen, so that was super fun. And again, I got to hang out with my girl Ash and her friend Steven, who is now my friend, and we got to experience the whole thing together, and that was just so special as well. So Ash was dressed as Patricia, but with the different headpiece, so that was very cool. The actress and my friend who played Patricia was also there for this event as well. And at the end of the screening, they completely surprised us. So there was also a bonfire activation. And it's so cool because when you go to Cinespia, you get to see the sunset and there's tons of palm trees and it's just so beautiful. And after the screening, they blasted Rhythm of the Night and Let's Dance, and they had this lighting effect that looked like the bonfire activation was actually on fire. And they brought out my friend that I went to college with who was playing Patricia. They brought her out in the other headpiece, not the tiara, and she was totally doing her dance moves, and it was very cool because she was completely in silhouette. So you just see her silhouette and then you just see the headpiece, and it was so incredible to see. And then what was even more incredible is I got to see Ash dancing with her, and they were like two Patricias, one Sunset Cocktails party. It was just awesome. I was so happy for her. I was so happy for both of them, honestly. And it was really cool. I started to feel really special too because at the previous Cinespia events, I was always waiting in line. I never really got photographed by the professional photographers they have there, but I was being photographed for my outfit by their professional photographer, and it was really cool going to the activations with her and posing and getting to, you know, cut the lines because we were just in character. And one thing I am really proud of and happy about is that I did make the Cinespia photo dump, so that was really cool. And I should have explained, the photo background for the event was the actual logo imagery for the show Widow's Bay with like the red fonts and the light blue and the skull in the water and the boat. So we got to sit in the boat, and I did have a hard time finding my angles. I was a little insecure about that because my dress had a lot of fabric and volume, but I love the picture that I got printed from there. And that's another thing you can do at Cinespia. And it was just like beyond magical. I think I felt more myself and more comfortable at the second event because I ran into people that I had met the night before, and we were just hanging out and having fun, and there wasn't like as much pressure to get content with the cast and think of a bit and have it rehearsed and whatever. Like I got to like relax and enjoy the talk and the screening, and I was comfortable in my clothes. Something I did struggle with both of the events though is that I am so pale and I'm very Irish and I suffer from the Celtic curse. So anytime I show my chest, sometimes I get a little heat rash or I get a little bit emotional, and it's happening now, you know, like this is just me, who I am. I guess I'm just like a red bandit, I don't know, but at least it matches the logo on my sweater, so I'm not really mad about it. I probably could just fix this with a tan, to be honest. So that is my official debrief. I don't think I've ever filmed a video this long on this app before, and I just wanted you to hear from my experience from a newbie pop culture content creator who is a feral mega fan. I just wanted to share what it was actually like being at one of these influencer events that I've dreamed about being invited to. I literally created a series taking myself to cool events until I'm officially invited to them. And then it happens, and it's so interesting, like the things you have an opportunity to work through and what things come up, and how ultimately it was a huge opportunity for growth. And when I think about these events, I just can't stop smiling. I just wish I could be in that moment of time forever. I never want to leave these events. I never want to stop celebrating the show. I never want to stop posting about it. I never want to stop talking about it. And I have to say special thank you to Ash and Steven for helping me get all of my content for the evening. And I had so much fun creating content with them and being with them in the content. And I'm very glad I have those memories. And I'm very glad I have photographic and video evidence of that. So you know what? I am such a happy camper. I am so grateful. An enormous thank you to Apple TV and everyone involved in the show for making so many people so happy. And I think I need to stop yapping because I could talk about Widow's Bay for literally hours and hours and days and weeks and months. So I'm gonna sign off now. I'm getting a little bit delusional. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it to the end, you are such a real one, and I love you so much. I will see you next time. Bye.